One of the main objectives in course design for blended and online courses is to reduce the cognitive load for the learner. Remember, cognitive load refers to the total amount of mental effort being used in the working memory. It can only handle so much at a time. So we've got extraneous things that are going on. It's the way the information is given to the learner. We've got intrinsic things that are going on, like how difficult learning this is intrinsically to that learner. And then we have the germane learning, which is really the processing and structuring and creating of the schemas that we want to have happen. So how do we reduce the extraneous and intrinsic loads and really let the learner focus on the germane? If we think about it in another way, there's different barriers to cognitive load. So if we have too many steps in the process, that gives the learner too many choices and it increases the cognitive load. Another one would be the perceived length of the step. And if the learner thinks it's going to take a really long time, that's automatically a barrier to the learning situation, how much thought they think will be required. And then finally, how difficult do they perceive each step will be? Is there confusion as to what to do and things like that? So let's look at different ways that we can reduce cognitive load for our learners. Overall, I want you to think about the theme of being simple, clear, consistent, and ADA compliant, which is the American Disabilities Act. So part one, these are 5 expectations we will have for you as you design your course. The first one is clear communication. So we really want you to communicate clearly the face-to-face and flex schedules to your students. One of the number one concerns students have in an online or blended environment is they don't understand what to do. So we have to be very clear. You will be required to post your week schedule for the following week on the last day of the current week. And you will do that in Schoology Updates. So if it's a 5-day week, on Friday you'll go to Updates, you'll post your schedule for the next week so students know which days are face-to-face, which are flex. You also should follow any additional standards that your building sets for posting those. Now, optionally, you can choose to post it in other places. So some people will also post it to the calendar in Schoology. A number of people like to put an embedded slideshow in so there's more detail of what to do on that day. And then, of course, you can structure them into folders where they're relevant and easy to find. Expectation number 2 is make sure your share settings are correct. And this is particularly in Google Drive. So you'll want to go to your Google Drive, and any document that you are sharing, make sure that it is set to anyone with the link can view. Otherwise, parents won't be able to see it, or if a student logs on with a personal email, they won't be able to see it either. The same goes for the Schoology Google Drive folder. That's where all the Schoology Google Drive assignments live. So navigate to your drive, find that folder, click on the little chain link, turn on sharing, and then make sure that the share settings are anyone with the link can view for the entire folder. You'll only have to do that one time. Expectation 3, make sure your course has an image so that the student can more easily locate it. Just go up in there, click on that area, and add the image that represents your course. Expectation 4, have good color contrast on your page. Now, we recommend that you have a white background page. It's just the easiest, and it's easiest to see, easiest to create. And then make sure you have dark fonts, so you have good contrast between font and background. Black is your default color, but you can use other colors as long as there's still good contrast. Avoid the yellows and things like that. Expectation 5 is a general one. We expect consistent design throughout your course. Students need that consistency so they don't have to use their cognitive energy figuring out where to go. So be as consistent as possible with communication, formatting, and organization. Here in this example, you can see every day has its own folder. The objectives for the day are posted there. The naming conventions are similar. Each one has an image. Now, if this were my course, I'd probably use an image to represent that day instead of just day 1 or 2, but this works as well. That consistency is key. So how does it look? And then what parts are in each lesson? If you use the good lesson design of engage, learn, process, and then demonstrate your learning, students get comfortable with that and even label those activities within the folders and links. Here's an example of how one teacher designed each lesson. There's an overview that kind of gave the objectives and the big picture, and then a to-do list, so the student could just follow down through that to-do list. Again, overall, be simple, clear, consistent, and ADA compliant.